Hello friends. So in this video I'm going to introduce you about Datapower interface. This is just an introductory video, and you can expect that once you are through this video you have a fair knowledge about Datapower interface, where to find what, so that you get start going. So let's kick start by first finding out what is the URL through which we need to see the interface of the Datapower. So the Datapower is typically, the admin interface of Datapower is typically installed on port number 9090. The IP address is something which you enable at the Datapower level, so that you can connect with the Datapower and see the admin interface. This is the login screen where you need to provide username and password, and this is the domain which you need to select. Domains are basically a sandbox inside the Datapower, so that you can play around. You can perceive domain as a separate area which is given to you for playing. Default domain is something which comes through Datapower. So when you install Datapower, default domain is something which you will find it pre-installed. So this is there, but other domains you have to create, because this is something which does not come with the Datapower. So you need to have other domains created for you. You can create domain user wise, or you can create domain your use wise. So for example, on your Datapower, on a single Datapower, you want to have production as well as testing environment. So you create one domain for production, another domain for testing. Those domains have different file organization. So one domain does not interfere with other unless you specify so. So let's log in with the user. And right now I am logging into default domain. Usually you do not log in into default domain unless you intend to do some administrative activity. So right now I am logging into default domain, so that we have an overall view of the Datapower. Remember that other domains are not intended for administrative purpose. So options which you find in default domain may not be available in those domains, depending upon the configuration of domain as well as the user configuration which is trying to log in into that domain. Not all users can cross domain. So for example, I am logging as an administrative user, so all domains are visible to me here. But a normal user, which is called domain constraint user, is able to log in on a particular domain only, and when he or she logs in into that domain, other than that domain, things are not visible. For example, this drop down may not come to that particular user, so that he can change domain. But from here, if I am an administrative user, I can definitely change my domain and jump upon another domain if I require. So I have just clicked on this domain, and it is loading. So it will open up in a moment. Yeah, so I'm here. Let me tell you a little about the interface of this Datapower. So here on the top left corner, you are seeing what type of Datapower box it is. It is XI52. This is my user at the rate. This is the Datapower box name. So we can customize this box name as per your requirement from settings. But this is so far the name of the Datapower box. This is the domain. So currently we are in EAI domain right now, and this is safe config. So whenever you make a change in the Datapower, that change goes to that particular domain, and that change is lost if you restart the Datapower. So what you need to do is that whenever you make a change, you go ahead and make save config. This will save the configuration to a persistent store. Logout is logout. This is control panel. So we are right now on control panel view. So the right hand pane is showing a control panel view. This is a search box, there is a powerful search. So for example, if you do not know how to achieve things or where to find options. So for example, if I do not know how do I from which option I start configuring the WSRR integration. So what I will do, I will go here and I will type WSRR, and you see the search is immediately getting displayed all those options which include WSRR. So if I know that, hey, to connect with the WSRR server, I need to go here, I will click it and the options will be displayed on the right hand side. So this is how this search box works. Here you can find the firmware version of the Datapower. This is important. So mine is this one, 5.0.0.8. This is build version, and you can view your license agreement from here, which is displayed in another page if you click this button. So this is the license agreement. I'm going to close this. Now the right hand pane contains several pieces of information which is key to the Datapower. So the first one, which is shown over here, is that intensive level of logging is enabled. This is because on this appliance, since I am using it for testing purpose, I have enabled the logging level as a debug. So we will see in another video what logging level is, how to work with the logging, because logging is something which is quite useful when you try to debug things. So since high level of logging is enabled, so it is Datapower is showing a warning that logging is enabled at a very intensive level, and you can go ahead and change this thing by going to troubleshooting settings. So we will see how to do that, but right now this is for development environment, so I keep it as it is. Now have a look at this interface, what this interface says. This is divided into 3 sections. One shows services associated with this Datapower XI52. So Datapower XI52 is meant for integration purpose. XI stands for XML integration. Since it is meant for integration purpose, so there are 5 different kind of services that you can build with the Datapower. They are web services proxy. This is meant for web services which are SOAP based. So if you have a SOAP based web service and you want to integrate with Datapower, this is the object that you need to configure. This is multi-protocol gateway. As the name suggests, this is a multi-protocol gateway. So prima facie, I tell you why this is called multi-protocol gateway. So for example, take an example that your client says that I need to be on HTTPS, but somehow your backend says I cannot be on HTTPS, I can be on HTTP. So through multi-protocol gateway, you can establish a bridge so that clients will be on HTTPS, but backend connections will be on HTTP. So this HTTPS to HTTP is something which is managed by this multi-protocol gateway. But this is just an example. There could be more scenarios in which multi-protocol gateway is useful. So we will see how multi-protocol gateway can be useful. XML firewall is something which is mostly utilized for testing purpose. So for example, you have created an object in the Datapower and you want to test it. So for unit testing purpose, you do not always need that your backend is available. In that case, XML firewall is the place to go. You install your objects in the XML firewall. You initiate a connection from client side. All the rules, all the policies are processed, and XML firewall itself will echo the response. So in effect, the response will not go to the backside. The XML firewall itself will echo the response, and that is why it is sometimes called loopback proxy. Web application firewall is something which is used for exposing a web application over the internet, or you can say over to the client. So for example, if I have a web application which resides inside my secure zone and I would like to expose it to the internet, then I will use the web application firewall in order to do that. XSL accelerator is something wherein you want to leverage the capability of the data power to transform the XML. So for example, you have an XML and you have an XSL and you want to transform this at a wire speed. Of course, you can do the transformation in your .NET or Java code as well, but that will not at a wire speed. Data power is customized to you can say specialized to process the XSL and XML. As a result, we can have a service on the data power so that you provide it XML, you provide it XML, and the transformation, whatever is the result of that transformation, is provided to you. So this is what XSL accelerator is. Primarily in a development, in a production environment, we use web services proxy, multi-protocol gateway, and web application firewall primarily. But of course, there is a potential of using XML firewall and XSL accelerator as well. To say more about web services proxy, this is the place to go if you have SOAP-based services on the backend and you want to expose it to the clients. So web services proxy will be helpful. You can have several rules on the web services proxy which customize your processing. So for example, your backend services assume that they need a Kerberos ticket in order to work, but your front-end client says, hey, I can only provide username and password. In that case, web service proxy can be a place where you accept username and password from clients, you generate a Kerberos ticket from data power, and you send it to the backend clients. So you can say decoupling of clients is clearly achieved using web services proxy. When you configure a web service proxy, or in short, which is called WSP, you will have a typical WSDL endpoint of which only points to the data power, not to the backend. So all the translation will be taken care by the data power. Excuse me. Monitoring and troubleshooting section contains tools which you can utilize for monitoring and troubleshooting. So view logs is something which if you click, you will find that you are on the you are seeing the logs page of the data power. So it will appear in a moment. Logging is very useful because logging is primarily the tool for finding out what is going on inside the data power. If you create an object or if some requests come to the data power, an appropriate level of logging is enabled, you will see that request registered on the data power, and step by step what is happening inside the data power is clearly displayed on the logging. So let me click on view logs first. Till the time it opens, let me move on to the troubleshooting section. Troubleshooting section contains tools which you utilize for troubleshooting purpose. So for example, let's say if I want to know that a particular server on a particular service on a particular IP and port is available or not. So I go to the troubleshooting section. I utilize the tool. So hey, this is the system log. In another video, when we dive deep into the logging, we will see how to visit this log or how to interpret this log. But this is a pretty detailed level of logging, and you can find pretty much information what you are looking for inside this log. So I was talking about the troubleshooting section. So let me go to the troubleshooting section and show you what tools are available over here. Yeah. So this is troubleshooting section, and you can see there are several tools that are available here. TCP connection test is for identifying whether a particular service is reachable or not. So you provide an IP address, you provide a port, and you say TCP connection test. If the connection test is successful, then the particular service is up and data power can connect to that service. This is ping service. So in case you want to know a particular box is up or not, so you provide an IP and you say ping remove. This is just a ping command. I mean, this is equivalent to a ping command which you fire on your command line. This is for changing the logging level of the particular domain. This is for advanced logging using, and similarly there are other configuration tools available here as well, and there are tabs available as well which you can roam around to find out more about what debugging tools are available. Remember, all debugging tools may not be available to you depending upon your role and whatever access you are provided to the data power. Now, this is Web Services Monitor. Web Services Monitor provides you the facility that you can see how many hits come to your web services at a very beginning level, and there are other advanced features as well. View status is something where you go and see the memory utilization of the data power and the CPU utilization of the data power. So this is pretty much place to go for that. Other than that as well, there are services available in the view status section, which is HTTP monitoring and other options as well. But typically we utilize this for CPU and memory utilization. Now this is file and administration section. Remember, administration is something which is exclusive to the data power administrator. So depending upon what roles you are given in the data power, you may not see all options if you click system control, for example, or keys and certs, for example. So typically if you go inside the system control, inside the default domain, you will see more options, but other domains have restricted view of system controls because people are not normally required to do administrative functions when they are doing the development. So this is in that way. Now let's go one by one. File management is something where you can access data power file system. So if you click it, you will see that you are on a file system of the data power. In a moment I will display you, or let's click it till the time it opens up. So in every domain, what happens is that there is a set of folders that is present. Those folders have a specific purpose, but they are present in each domain, and usually folders are separate in each domain. So a couple of folders are shared, but usually folders are separate in each domain. And hey, here is the folder structure of the data power. So you can see there are several folders on it. You can go ahead and upload your files on the folder as well. So what you need to do is that you need to click on actions and you need to select the upload files. As of now, I am not entitled to upload anything in this folder. I am in export folder, hence this option is grayed out for me. But in other folders, so for example, let me go to the cert folder and let me click. Yeah, upload file is something which is available to me, so I can go ahead and click the upload file and upload a file on the data power file system. Second is the fetch files. Fetch file option is also available, but remember, you may not be able to fetch all files on the data power. So typically if you are in if you want to fetch files from the cert folder, which is a kind of protected folder, you will not be able to fetch files from the cert folder. This is because of security reasons, because a cert folder is typically a place where private keys and certificates are located. So if anybody can download the private key, then there is no there is not much security over there. So that's why this is protected. you can use the local folder in order to upload your development related files. So local folder is there, and you can go ahead and create subfolders inside it, but unfortunately I do not know a way where you can use this GUI to create a folder over here. The only way to create folder over here is to use the command line interface, which is also called CLI interface. So local folder is typically a place which holds the development related files. Temporary folder is something which is there for temporary files. So this is like temp folder in Windows, and whenever this domain gets restarted, so let me tell you, individual domains can itself be restarted. So whenever domains get restarted or the appliance gets restarted, all the files inside the temporary folder will be cleared. So this is a typical introduction of this overall file system. Let's go back. Yeah. So next is system control. System control is basically the place from where you can do several administrative activities. Typically, you can restart entire appliance from system control. You can update the firmware from system control. These are you can set the no, I think NTP setting is different. So you can these are typical activities that people do with the system control. Apart from that, system control contains many other features. When you are in the default domain, and if you go in the system control thing, you will see several options which are not visible in other domains. So I will go to the system control in a moment, but let's move on for the time being. Import configuration. So this is for the purpose that let's say if you have a development environment and you want to migrate your code to a production environment, and let's say both the domains, the development and the production domains, in a very remote case, are located on the same data power box. So how do you migrate your code from development to production domain? So what you do is that you typically export your objects from the development domain, and you typically import that object in the production domain. So first step is to go to the development domain, select your objects which you want to export it. They will come as a zip file normally, and then change your domain, go to the production domain, and then use this import configuration place, click it, select your zip file, and then import it. But there are typical nuances associated with importing zip file or importing configuration that we will see in another video which is dedicated for import configuration. Export configuration is a place where you can select your objects and you can export. Keys and certs management is a typical place where you can manage the private keys and certificates which are there in your data power box. So this is a place to go when you want to manage. Other than that, trivial links are available over here, which says if you want to access the documentation portal or support portal or IBM support, or if you want to generate error report. So when you work with IBM support team, they typically want error report to be generated about the data power. So this is the place from where you can generate the error report. So this is all about this interface. I will say there are many more features and many more options available in the data power other than these, but since these are very frequently accessed functionalities, so data power development team has provided us this. Now if we look at the left hand side, there are several folders which group functionalities. So for example, if you want to do the network settings, you go here, and since I am not in default domain, so I am not able to see interface related settings, but had I been in the default domain, I would have options available under interface. Similarly, management, it is not being shown over here because I am not in default domain. If you want to do device administration, you can see over here, since the user with which I am logged in has more rights than a developer, so you can see several options getting displayed over here, but that may not be displayed for you if you have a restricted access to the data power. So let's quickly go back to the default domain, and let me show you first system control options that are available, so that you have better idea what available options are there in the system control. So we are here in the default domain, and now I'm going to click the system control. Yeah, so I'm in system control, and you can see that I can do device level administration from here. Edit the NTP service settings for setting date and time for the data power, and here is where you can roll back the firmware. You can configure a file and upload, I mean you can configure a file to upload on the data power. You can have a crypto certificate over here, secure restore is over here, shutdown, you can restart the appliance as a whole. You can change user password. So if you remember, when I was in another domain, the system control option was still there. Had I clicked that, I would have seen only this option, change user password, in that domain. This is because this is the only option that comes when you are not in default domain. Restart domain is something where you can restart a particular domain, and restarting that domain only affects that domain. So the devices, the data power appliance as a whole is not restarted, that particular domain is restarted. Reset domain, be careful about it, because it will reset your entire configuration of the domain. So it will so your domain will be like when you first created it, and it is without any configuration. So this is reset domain. This is for device certificate. So if you remember over here, we are using SSL. This SSL certificate, which is which identifies data power device, is generated from here, and other options are also available. QuiSec is something which is IBM's term to basically gracefully shutting down any kind of a domain or any kind of object. We will see about QuiSec in another video. So this is options available under system control. Let me quickly make you familiar about these options over here. So we were on the network, and you can see now that interface has options. So I can see Ethernet interfaces. If I click over here on the right hand pane, I will see all the Ethernet interfaces that are available, what are their status, and various parameters related to them. And similarly, there are other things as well. If you go to the management, you will see there are several tools available: telnet service, SSH service. So these are related to management. If you want to do user management, go to the administration, then click on access, and you will have new user account from where you can create user accounts. So this is for administrative purpose. You have this object section, which holds all the objects of the data power. So whatever is shown as a first screen on the data power, where you saw there are 5 different kind of services, they are only top level services. Apart from that, there are many more objects that you can configure with the data power. But if you say on service wise, so there are top 5 categories of service that you can configure in the data power. They are web service proxy, multi-protocol gateway, then XML firewall, web application proxy, and XSL accelerator. So they are only top level objects. Each object is composed of multiple objects which you can find and configure from here. So this is, I think, all about data power interface. So we have gone through the interface. We have seen some information about each of the functionality, each of the high level functionality that is available with the data power. And that's all for this video. I will create another tutorial for each of the functionality which dives deep into them. Thanks for watching. This is Ajita.